The average American checks their phone 159 times in a day, and the average person can only focus on a task for 14 minutes without being interrupted. Focusing is getting harder and harder, and it's messing up our lives. Think back over the last 10 years. Are you where you thought you would be by now? Is there something, maybe a career change or a project, that you thought you were going to start, but you still haven't? It takes 5 to 10 years to build the average business, but this applies to any life project. It takes time to make meaningful progress on things, master skills, and get a reputation for something. The problem is, life is short. The first 2 decades are taken up by school and university, and maybe even longer if you study something like medicine. And by the time you get to 60, you might want to retire, or you could even have health conditions. So if you're 20, you've got 4 decades left at building something that matters. And if it takes 10 years to do that, then that's only 4 chances. I'm 38, which means I've got 2 chances left. This video will help you conquer your focus so you can make the most of your time. Looking at time in this way can make you feel like you want to start all of the projects at once. But I'm going to tell you not to do that. And here's why. Imagine you've got 10 energy cubes to use towards the things you want to do. If you spread these out equally across 5 different things, you're only going to make a small amount of progress in each of them. But if you put all 10 into one bucket, you'll make much faster progress. Obviously, this comes with a trade-off that you won't be progressing the other things, so you have to be okay with putting them on the back burner for now. In the book, The One Thing, they say that success is about doing the right thing, not everything. How do you figure out what that one thing is? Keep asking what matters the most until there's only one thing left. You can do this for your yearly goals or grand plans for your life, or you can do it for just different areas. For example, you might have several career goals like getting promoted at work, learning a new skill, networking more effectively, maybe starting a side hustle, or improving your work-life balance. So you look at these 5 and you ask yourself what matters the most until you find the one that's the top priority. Then you focus all your efforts on doing just that one thing. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, said, "Focus stands for follow one course until success." After you've done that thing, you can move on to your other goals. I will throw in one small caveat. If something really isn't working out for you, don't just persist with a goal because you told yourself you would. Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy, where just because you've invested time, effort and money into something, it means you need to keep going with it. Because sometimes the path that you're on isn't leading you where you want to go. When you know the thing you want to focus on, there's some big yet surprisingly easy things you can do to improve your focus and achieve them much faster. Have you ever noticed how your energy or focus seems to come in waves throughout the day? Like, you might be totally in the zone for a while, and then suddenly your brain feels foggy, you get restless, you find yourself picking up your phone and scrolling, and you don't really know why. It could just be your biology doing its job. You've probably heard of circadian rhythms, the 24-hour cycles that regulate our sleep and waking hours. Ultradian rhythms are like the shorter cousins of circadian rhythms, and they're just as important. Sleep researcher Nathaniel Kleitman in the 1950s noticed that when we go to sleep, we go through cycles, moving from light sleep to deep sleep to REM sleep about every 90 minutes. Kleitman believed that this same 90-minute pattern continues when we're awake. He gave it the very catchy title, the Basic Rest Activity Cycle. So during each cycle, you get high focus and energy. And then you'll notice a dip where you'll feel a bit distracted and tired, and you might even feel colder. And that's a message from your body that you need to take a break. But most of us just ignore this message. We power through, we drink more caffeine, we send more emails, we do another task. Over time, this builds up and creates mental fatigue and leads us to make mistakes, and we feel kind of burnt out. Researcher Anders Ericsson studied elite performers like violinists, athletes and writers, and found that some of the best in the world only practiced in 90-minute blocks and then had breaks in between. Focus depletes our neurotransmitters and we build up waste in the brain. Just like how at night we go to sleep and clear it out. We need to have these little breaks during the day to do the same thing. Don't go on social media and start filling your brain with lots of stimulation. You need to actually rest. Get up and move around, go make a drink, or doodle in your notebook. Don't feel guilty for having a rest. Because when you come back from your rest, you'll get more done with less effort. Another technique that a lot of people use is the Pomodoro Technique. You focus for 25 minutes, then have a 5-minute break. And after you've done this 4 times, you take a longer break of around 15 to 30 minutes. If you really struggle to focus, the Pomodoro Technique can be more effective because 25 minutes feels a lot more manageable than 90-minute chunks. I tried using the Pomodoro Technique and it really didn't work for me at all. I was stressing because I only had 25 minutes to make some progress. And then when the timer went off, I felt like I was being interrupted and I was in a flow state. Research shows that every time we're interrupted, it can take 15 minutes to get back to the same level of focus as you were in before the interruption. Not only does our focus suffer, but so does the feeling of stress and frustration, and the amount of effort we need to put in to get the task done. Which is why if you're interrupted all day at work, you'll end the day feeling really tired. We really need to reduce these interruptions. Some of these are obvious, like putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, but there are other things you can do. The first step is setting clear boundaries with other people, which is really important if you work remotely because they can just send you a DM whenever and expect you to reply. Whenever I needed to get deep work done, I spoke to my manager about having Do Not Disturb time, and I would block it out in my calendar. It can also help to train your brain to see particular locations as a space where you focus on something. I always record my YouTube videos in the same place. Time blocking is another technique that's really powerful, but this will only work if you're really strict with yourself. So when you're in that time block, you're not allowed to answer emails, take phone calls, or look at anything else. You can supercharge time blocking to batch your tasks and theme your days. It's much more efficient than jumping from emails to creative work to writing a proposal. It takes a lot of energy for your brain to switch modes. And we all know that multitasking sounds amazing. It sounds like you've cloned yourself, but all it does is mess up your work and disrupts your focus, and it means that everything you do takes longer and has more mistakes in it. Your environment plays a big role in how easy it is to be interrupted. For example, I'm recording this now and a plane is about to fly overhead, so I'm going to have to stop for a minute. Even though I work from home, I use noise cancelling headphones and I just listen to synthwave music. I can't listen to music with lyrics in it because there's too much going on if I'm trying to write words but I'm also listening to words. One way I know that there's too much going on in the environment for me to be able to focus is if I find myself doing this. I'm trying to block out as much visual and auditory distraction as I can. What I think was harder than everything else in this list was saying no to people. As a people pleaser, I usually just want to say yes when someone asks me to do something, so this has been really hard for me to learn. Generally, people are okay if they understand the reasoning behind it, and if that reasoning is that you want to focus on something else that really matters to you, people get it. If you're in a work situation and someone's asking you to take on another task, just point out all of the other work that you're currently doing and ask them which of the things they want you to drop so they can focus on this new thing. Because you can't just magically make more time. You've got the perfect schedule, you've figured out all your ideal work blocks, you've planned your breaks, you're doing everything right. But when it comes to actually sitting down and getting on with the thing, you're really struggling. What's going on here? So on a typical workday, you might be managing multiple projects, responding to lots of emails, coordinating meetings, managing what you're going to do after work. Your brain is overloaded with all of these decisions and mental clutter. Try to simplify some of your decisions before you start work. Prepare your meals in advance, or eat the same lunch every day. Steve Jobs famously wore the same outfit all the time, so that it was one less thing he had to think about. Sometimes you might be trying to focus, but your mind keeps drifting to an argument you had, or an upcoming deadline, or something in your personal life that's really stressing you out. It's really hard to ignore these things. It can help to build some stress management into your day, like taking a quick walk at lunchtime, or meditating, or even journaling in a notebook for a few minutes. In an ideal world, we'd try to deal with any stress and anxiety before we focused, but that's not always possible. There's one thing for me that no matter how much I schedule it and do everything else right, when it comes to doing it, I really struggle to focus. And that is anything to do with bookkeeping. I find it really boring. So whenever I try to focus on it, my mind just keeps wandering to anything else. I'll suddenly realise how dirty my desk is and have to go and clean it. But there's one thing I do that helps me at least get started with my bookkeeping. Let me show you. I have this timer. This is what I use for tasks that I really don't want to do and I'm really struggling to get started with. I set the timer for just 5 minutes and tell myself that when that 5-minute timer goes off, I can stop if I want to, which makes a 1-hour bookkeeping session not look anywhere near as bad. This is the same timer that I use if I'm setting a 1-hour work block, because I just turn it to 60 minutes and then I can really clearly see how much time's left when I'm working on something. You can obviously use it for Pomodoro as well. I love that it's really visual and it's not on my phone, so I'm not tempted to pick my phone up and then be distracted by a notification. I'll put a link in the description to the timer that I use. The other thing that I do is listen to some music or put on a podcast, so at least it's putting some fun into it. I also give myself a reward for when it's done. We talked about the importance of your environment when you're trying to focus, but we haven't spoken about how your body feels. So for example, last year I noticed I was getting really bad eye strain when working on my monitor. And it turned out that my room was too bright and the monitor wouldn't go bright enough. So I ended up replacing it. But you might have a similar thing. Maybe your chair is uncomfortable, or your desk is at the wrong height. Or maybe you've got the sun shining in your eyes the whole time. If you're hungry or tired or thirsty, they can make it really hard to concentrate. So make sure you're getting enough sleep and you're not just eating loads of sugar that's going to give you a big sugar crash in the afternoon. A young child can't sit still and play with their toys for very long before they get bored. But by the time we get to be a teenager, we can usually focus for a lot longer on reading something or listening to a lesson at school. So just like any other muscle, you can strengthen your ability to focus if you practice. It's better to set a shorter time and focus on something just for that time period than it is to set a longer time and allow some distractions to creep in. It can help to try meditating and using mindfulness, because it makes you aware of your own thoughts and you can pull them back to focus on the thing that you want to focus on. Studies show that people who practice mindfulness meditation have increased attention spans. You could start with just 5 minutes a day. There's lots for free on YouTube. Reading, puzzles, learning new skills all require a lot of focus. Try reading some non-fiction for 10 minutes and gradually building up the amount of time you can read for. I enjoy playing strategic board games that take hours to play. I didn't really think of that as something that was training my brain to focus for a long period of time, but I think it is. There are tools and apps designed to help you. Rescue Time is one of the popular apps that can help you focus. It'll help you block out distractions and track your productivity. But learning to focus is just the beginning. The real challenge is using that focus to do the stuff that you really don't feel like doing. I'll show you how to train your brain to actually want to do hard things in this next video. Like if you found this video helpful, subscribe if you can, and thank you for watching.